Okay, so one of my students in my hand coding your first website class had some issues with some images, and particularly in images that had some width issues. So if we check out the Powerpuff Girls website that he made, it looks pretty good at the moment. Some weird stuff happening here, and you can see as I scroll from left to right, I can actually scroll from left to right. That's not so normal. Scroll a bit down. So it looks fairly normal, looks okay. If I start inspecting things, so right click and inspect, you'll see that I can now scroll a lot from left to right. Whoa. And that's because this image down here is still really big. And then we've got some weird stuff happening with the names of the girls. So I've inspected this image. I've inspected this image, but let's right click and inspect this big one, which is problematic right now. And I've got this big.image class. I'm going to click on here and see if it relates to anything. Doesn't seem to have any styles, so I'm going to drag this image outside of this big image container, and I'm just going to delete this. Boom, it's gone. Didn't seem to change much, so let's select this image. And I'm going to add some styles in Chrome because I don't have access to the CSS file. So what I'm going to do first is I'm going to set this display to block. It makes everything a lot more predictable. The next thing I'm going to do is set a margin to 0 and auto. This will center align the image in the middle of the page. And then what I'm going to do is I'm going to set a max width on the image to 100%. And boom, just like that, the image now is max widthing at 100%. So it gets bigger as the browser gets bigger, which is cool. This is almost like responsive design. Super cool, super good stuff. So that's one thing. If we make this a little bit smaller, things seem to be going okay, but then, this thing is also not so good anymore. So let's inspect this guy. And perhaps we can do the same thing here. So let's go for display and block. And we could actually write it in header image. So it doesn't really matter right now. So display block. Let's go for margin and 0 and auto. And then say max width 100%. And just like that, things will look like they're doing a bunch better. We've got padding bottom. We've also got a border. So what we can do here, which is a magic little trick, is go box sizing and border box. And you'll see just like that, everything fits in really nicely. Super cool. I go over this in my class, the basics of web design layout. It's pretty understandable in that class if you want to know more. But for now, let's just carry on. So let's just scroll down and whoa, what is happening with Blossom, Bubbles and Buttercup? So let's inspect it over here and PPG. Okay, we've got this UL, and when I'm hovering over here, I just see a big space on the left hand side here. So what's going on here? Anything happening on this class? It doesn't look like it. Anything happening here? I'm just going to see inline block is the display. It's got a margin left of 300 pixels. So let's take that out and then, whoa, something is happening over there. Okay, it's got a width of 20 pixels. So let's take that out. Okay. That looks good. I can't scroll from left to right anymore. So that's looking pretty good. So what happens if we put this at the bottom? Okay, so these guys aren't in the middle anymore. So what we can do here is on the UL, we just put a text align of center. There we go. And on these LIs, perhaps we can do something like a bit of padding. Top 0, and then let's do 20 pixels on the left and right. There we go. So it's now in the middle and it's got a bit of space around it. that looks pretty good. So everything's in the middle, everything is adjusting to the width of the browser. If we put this back up here, check that, Blossom Bubbles, blah blah blah, Blossom Bubbles and Buttercup. They're now in the middle, looking really good. Some of this text looks a little bit strange here. It looks like there's more space on the left hand side. Okay, so let's see if this has any margin left 0, or perhaps we can do that here. So we go margin left 0. What about a padding left of 0? Nope, you can probably look at that there too. The UL, let's do it over here. There we go, so there's a padding of 40. So let's go padding left 0. Okay, so now it's in the middle. Things are looking super good. Perhaps here we can inspect, go to this UL, and we can say list style, and we'll say none. Takes away those little dots. Check that out. Things are looking much better here. So yeah, great work. So if you want to get your project reviewed, just commit your code, synchronize it, and drop a URL into the project or the community area. It's much easier for me to help you out if you give me some code to work with. Screenshots don't really help. I inspect things. I'm pretty intuitive when I debug code. On the flip side, if you debug code yourself, it's so good for you. In the long run, you'll get to understand why things don't work. You'll be able to spot problems in the future that you've had in the past. It's really, really good. But if you don't want to do that, and if you're really, really stuck, then like I said, just drop a URL into the community area and I'll help you out. And yeah, let me know what you think of this kind of video format. It's a bit of an experiment. I've never done it before. So yeah, let me know.